Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Queen Gaming, and some of you on Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Temptation's Ballad. So y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. It was beautiful. You couldn't help but admire the dancing rays of light across the lab's sterile halls and the way the birds sang in the swaying trees. It all felt real. Part of him itched to step out of his glass box and take a tiny peek outside. Just one moment wouldn't hurt, would it? He quickly forced the temptation back down and kept his eyes forward. No. He was the empty vessel, and in this glass box he shall stay. King Rogerick did not spend all those years toiling over his plans just for Cassius to wander outside on a whim. Still, even enshrouded in the dark of night, the world outside was breathtaking. The stars shimmered in the velvet black behind the thicket of leaves. It was so unlike the black nothingness that Cassius dwelled in before his birth. That darkness was just nothing. Empty, like what he was supposed to be. And yet out there beyond his window, the wind sighed softly, the moon soared overhead, and the fireflies blinked against the cascading hues of lavender and blue. On some nights he'd stare out into the darkness outside his window and wonder how such a beautiful world could create something as hollow as him. Cassius soon discovered that unlike him, the world outside changed. Leaves curled into flashes of yellow and red before falling from branches. The winds grew frigid and glittering flakes of snow fell from the skies to carpet the earth. The crisp winter cold soon bled into his dark storage room, nipping uncomfortably at the flesh beneath his robes. Cassius did not shiver. He was not supposed to move. A part of him welcomed the icy sensation even. It was better than the endless numbness that curled up in his chest. Then, he quickly admonished himself. That numbness was supposed to be there. Why couldn't he just stay empty? Cassius's chest hurt. He had suffered no physical injuries, he was sure of it. Why was he feeling like this? The world outside his window grew painful to look at. It was still beautiful. Of course it was. The soft winter snow stood against the lavender sky like a comforting blanket of white. The stars still shone like diamonds. The trees still danced in the wind, and Cassius still stood motionlessly inside his glass box. He no longer peered longingly at the beautiful world in the corner of his eye, instead keeping his gaze forward and blank. He couldn't bear to look at it. Cassius lost count of how many times the world outside changed and breathed. Perhaps this was good. It meant that he was growing empty, as his maker intended. This was good. It must be. On some days, his traitorous mind wondered if this was all worth it. On some days, he wondered if it would be better if the world stopped and he returned to that empty blackness. Life, he discovered, was excruciating. Something new was happening today, Cassius discovered to his great horror. There were loud, rattling, and banging sounds outside in the laboratory hallway. A visitor, perhaps? No, he never received visitors. A burglar, then. They weren't being particularly discreet. Cassius could hear them swear loudly under their breath as they poked at the wards outside his door. He wondered if he should do something. He could hide, or maybe stop them somehow, but that would require moving or even leaving his glass box, and that surely wasn't allowed. Before he could make up his mind, he felt a surge of necrotic magic bash against the wards with all the subtlety of a hammer, and the door flew open. The person outside, a woman, coughed and waved her hand through the cloud of dust left in her wake. Ugh, Dusty. Surely Rogerick didn't stuff my life's work in a random storage room. The nerve. I swear I'm gonna pluck every single tail feather out of his royal ass. A middle-aged bat in a white scarf and round glasses stomped into the room with a scowl. Cassius stood motionless as she poked through the boxes scattered across the floor with her mage staff. She seemed absorbed in her task and didn't even notice him until she passed the front of his case. The bat paused. She squinted through the glass for several moments before letting out a startled yelp. Oh, good gods, you're alive! I thought you were a mannequin. Hang on, I'll get you out of there. The bat fumbled with the handle of his case and the door swung open. For the first time in years, Cassius felt a waft of fresh air against his face. He fought the urge to take in a deep breath. He had been doing such a good job so far, he couldn't afford to ruin things now. Strange, the case isn't enchanted or anything. Hello, sir? Can you move? The bat froze again as she looked upon his face. Oh! Her hand flew to her mouth as she let out a shaky breath. You look just like him. So, he used it. Devastation and loss weighed heavy in her voice, mixed together with a fond admiration. The bat looked shaken for a moment before rubbing her eyes furiously and forcing out a warm smile. Hello. It's very nice to meet you. I'm Agatha Stoker, well, I suppose I'm something like your aunt. Actually, no, call me whatever you're comfortable with. I suppose I've made a terrible first impression of myself. What's your name, dear? Her tone was soft and welcoming, and she looked at him with a tenderness that made Cassius's chest hurt. Nobody's looked at him like this before. Should he answer her? He wasn't supposed to speak to anyone other than his maker. But she seemed nice. The bat chuckled. There's no need to be shy, dear. I'm an old friend of your father's. We've known each other for ages, really. I'm surprised he's never mentioned me. His father? Oh, she must mean King Rogerick. It made sense. Cassius was supposed to introduce himself as the king's son, after all. Father. The word felt foreign in his mind, but it made his insides feel bubbly and pleasant. Water time. Alright, guys and gals, and we are back. Let's go ahead and jump back into it, shall we? Okay. He hoped his maker wouldn't mind if he called him that. Agatha gingerly reached out and took his hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. Cassius's heart leapt in his chest. The touch felt warm and kind. He wasn't sure what to do with this feeling. Is something wrong, dear? Why in the world did your dad stuff you in a glass case in his dusty laboratory? He has so much room in his castle. I hope you had space to run around as a kid, at the very least. I was never a child. He blurted out the words without thinking. Agatha's smile fell at the sound of his monotone voice, replaced quickly with alarm and concern. Oh no, Cassius thought dreadfully. He must have done something wrong already. Never a child? What in the world do you mean? Slow realization and horror kept across the bat's face as her grip around his hand tightened. No. Did he rush the crystal's growth? No. It was designed to birth a child. The effects on your development would be catastrophic. A child? He repeated the words blankly. That didn't sound right. He was supposed to be the vessel, the ark upon which his maker would sail into the new world. The concern and dread on Agatha's face grew as she grabbed his wrist to take his pulse and examine him closely, magic radiating from her fingertips. Her shoulders were shaking, and Cassius could feel her racing heartbeat through her palms. Was she concerned for him? Cassius wanted to reach out and assure her that he was fine, that he was always like this, but the words would not come out. The bat let out an anguished rasp. You're just a hollowed-out shell. The personality suppressed, a foreign magic forcefully injected inside, and the ego ripped out like an unwanted organ. What did he do to you? Cassius did not know how to answer. I am fine. His monotone voice only seemed to agonize her further. No, you're not. You're not supposed to be like this. This is an abomination. Her voice cracked and tears threatened to well at the edge of her eyes. What was I supposed to be? You were supposed to be a child, a new life brought into this world to be loved and cherished. You were supposed to grow and learn and be free to choose the life you wanted to live. Choose? And your parents. You were supposed to have parents who raise you and hold you close when you're afraid and pat your head and tell you everything will be okay. Instead, you were stuffed in a box and stored away like a doll. This isn't right. Cassius's chest twisted painfully as Agatha tightly clung onto him. Her head hung low. This woman was mourning him, mourning the person he could have been. He wanted to tell her that it wasn't so bad. He had a great and wonderful purpose ahead of him, and his father was quite proud of him as well. There was no need for her to cry for him. He knows it's bullshit. Deep down, he knows, hollowed out or not. But the words would not leave his throat. For a brief moment, Cassius cursed the empty shell of his existence. For one tiny sliver of a second, Cassius wanted nothing more but to raise his arms and embrace this grieving woman, if only to give a tiny bit of comfort. But he could not. Instead, he forced his beak open, and two raspy, monotone words spilled out. I'm sorry. Agatha raised her head sharply. Her gaze narrowed as she searched his face for something he could not name. She let out a bitter, defeated breath. Are you even capable of such a thing anymore? Cassius did not know how to answer. Loud, taloned footsteps echoed in the hall, snapping the two of them out of their stupor. He looked up to see the dark figure of King Rogerick step into the room, studying them closely. He did not look surprised. Agatha? Rogerick? Raw venom dripped from her voice as she glared at the older peacock. You told me you were safeguarding my work after that little burglary. Hidden away for safekeeping, you said. And I have kept my promise. It is quite safe. I am not sure what I've done to deserve your ire. Not sure? King Rogerick preened his feathers absent-mindedly as he spoke. Were you anxious about the state of your creation? There was no need to rampage through my wards. You need only ask. He nodded towards Cassius with a glimmer of pride. Magnificent, isn't it? You should be proud. Agatha was silent, but Cassius could feel her grip tighten against his chest. You've done truly marvelous work. The flesh has become everything I required. However, I must say you put far too much attention into its emotional capacity. Unnecessary baggage. It took me years to remove such frivolities from its core, and I feared I nearly failed. You said you needed an heir. An heir that you and Tabitha couldn't sire. Rogerick waved his hand dismissively. That was not a lie. It will introduce itself as my son, an unfortunate necessity to avoid suspicion amongst the people. The king stepped forward with an outstretched hand. I am glad you've come today, Agatha, my dearest friend. I pray that of all people you see my vision for the future of this rotted world. Surely, after all the years you spent treating my wife, you understand that a cure is not enough. Even when fed with the life force of countless druids, Tabitha's deterioration has only slowed slightly. The same fate awaits us all. And children? Why would you condemn them to life, only for decay to take them in time? No. Surely you understand. Rogerick pressed forward eagerly with a mad, desperate glint in his eye. Dear Agatha, I pray that you will stand with me. With your brilliance, together we can finally grace the world with the gift of eternity. Your empty doll will also rot with time, as far as I can tell. The peacock barked out a laugh. The flesh? It is nothing. Simply the ark that will carry us through the flood to come. Something in Agatha finally snapped. Alright, I'm going to save that for the next video, y'all. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon or YouTube memberships if you can. It always helps. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!